These 4 powerful crypto tools are making whales millions of dollars, saving them time and stress by providing them the information they need on a timely basis. Guys, crypto is a forever moving market, right? And it's hard for one person, especially someone who has a full-time job, to navigate the markets every single day and to analyze them and then come up with an actual plan and execute on that plan. And these projects will unlock all of that stress for us and allow us to focus on what we want to do and then leave the nitty-gritty to this. And I'm really happy to bring these to you today. These are the ones that I actually use on pretty much a daily basis at this point. And for those of you who are channel OGs, you know how much detail I like to go into. And obviously these provide me that, right? They actually relieve me of so much more stress. And so I'm really excited to bring them to you today. I can almost guarantee by the end of this video, you'll be using at least one of them. So the first one is actually an Airtable by Messari. A lot of you will actually know about this already, but you need to leverage it in the right way. So this pretty much has multiple different rungs. As you can see at the top here, it's got multiple categories. We'll look into a few of them today, but the first one is actually one of the most important, and that is the fundraising rounds by companies. Now, this is quite up to date. As you can see over here, the 31st of July was the last time it was updated, but we're going to leverage a couple other tools not mentioned in this video as the official tools, but just a little bit of extra alpha I want to provide to you. And essentially what we can use this particular page here for is going ahead and finding strategic investors that may have invested in multiple projects at once, which can be good for a hint that a project might be one we want to invest in or at least start looking at, and also ones that we can avoid. For example, FTX had a big conundrum, but they essentially obviously had that bankruptcy filing, and so all the assets under management were likely to be sold. So it would be a good idea for us to control F here, have a look at FTX, scroll down until we can pretty much find an investment round, as you can see over here. And this project was invested, it's called JPEGs, right? And this had about $5 million invested in the seed round back in 2022 with FTX and Avalanche, okay? So this would be a good indicator for us to go, okay, write that down and be very careful. And you can just continually go through this list and find those projects that maybe you have invested in that someone like FTX had also invested in. Also, this is actually a really good way that you can go ahead and find new investors, right? And so you can have a look at the top rung over here that has investors, and you can go through and actually see yourself which ones might be the best, okay? Now, it is a little bit to go through. You're obviously going to have to go through yourself and analyze all of these projects. But once you have found a particular one that you think is a good investor, and what do I mean by a good investor? Well, one of those ones that you can see have invested in quality projects over the time. Matic, for example, like Polygon, right? Solana, Cardano, these sort of ones. What we can do then is leverage another tool, again, not part of this list, called Crunchbase. Now, Crunchbase, you do have to actually go ahead and pay for. I'll show you a free alternative in a second. And you can actually go ahead and have a look at those particular investors, their funding rounds that they were invested in, also if they were a lead investor, how much they invested, and also their acquisitions as well. There's so much flexibility. Basically, if you purchase Crunchbase, you can even go as far as to have a look at the investors of the investors in the equity rounds, who they actually have invested in and what that company sort of does, and kind of who they invest in, right? So what general markets they look at, right? Biotech, blockchain technology, so on and so forth. It's a really advanced tool. I highly suggest it for those of you who are more serious with your investing. But of course, we do have a free version called Cypher Hunter, okay? So this, of course, is free. You do have to create an account. That's fine, though. But you can go ahead and do pretty much any sort of cryptocurrency project in here. Hit the search button. You have multiple different things you can have a look at. For example, the Algorand Foundation might be one you want to check out, or Algorand itself. Come in through here, have a look. It has all the team members on here. It also has the portfolio itself, if there is a portfolio associated, and also the backers. Obviously, again, as I mentioned, log in to view more, but the flexibility is definitely here. And when you leverage all these three in one, you're definitely unlocking something special. Now, I also use Airtable to have a look at something very important. That's the founders, okay? So you can have a look to see if one particular founder was involved in a previous cryptocurrency, and if they were, was it a scam, right? It's very important we have a look at this sort of stuff. You can kind of ignore the funding rounds. And one last thing I do typically come into from time to time is the crypto companies ecosystem, right? So for example, Solana, we can have a quick look in here. to see sort of what projects are on Solana if this is a very difficult thing for you to find, so on and so forth. So in combination with these three tools, I typically start with Airtable and branch out. Once you find a company associated with lots of different sort of quality projects on the original page here, you can then go begin to look at some things like Crunchbase and also Cypher Hunter. Now, the next tool is actually a sponsor of this channel. They're not sponsoring this video, so I want to make that very, very clear. They're not paying me to say this. This is just one I've typically used for a very long time now. And honestly, guys, they've hooked me up with a fantastic deal. Now, whether you believe me or not, I'm going to go through a few examples in just a second and show you firsthand how powerful Togametrics is. But they've hooked you guys up. So if you use a link down below, you can get the basic plan for free, right? So it's typically $20 a month or $200 a year. And also, if you did want to upgrade, when you do upgrade, you do have to obviously pay, but it's significantly discounted, right? So we're talking monthly here, it's $100 down to $40, and for the year, it's $300 down to $200. Now, I would recommend this tool for any of you guys who are very, very short on time and want, TA, bots, AI as well. We'll look at an AI tool in a second, and also fundamental analysis all in one, okay? It's very, very powerful. These guys called so many altcoins at the bottom based on their AI tool, okay? So we're in the dashboard here. You can have a look at multiple different things, right? You got the bull and bear, fear and greed index, and so on and so forth. Well, I don't typically use this page other than having a look at the alt season chart. So we have the Bitcoin season, when Bitcoin takes its high dominance, and the altcoin season as well. It's a very, very powerful tool. It is quite known. We also have something that's very, very unique here, and that's the indices, right? So this will allow you to customize this page and pretty much shadow trade the AI trading bot here. Now we can have a look and you can actually do a few things, right? You can check the time horizons, you can pick what sort of altcoin categories you want, and you can also specify what exchange, even decentralized exchange, you have access to. It'll go through here and then pick apart what projects it's buying and on that date. Obviously, if you pick weekly, it focuses on the weekly timeframes here, and you can scroll right down to the very bottom and pretty much mimic trade it, okay? So this is for anyone who kind of wants to pick up some of that money in the short term, right? You don't want to invest for 12 to 24 months. You kind of want to pick up as much capital between now and then as possible to invest, and this is something I would definitely recommend. Now, there is a whole heap more. You can actually go through many different projects here, and what it actually does is it gives you sort of a rating, okay? So it's got a TM trader grade. So should you buy or should you sell? Again, neutral in this case for Arbitrum. It's got a breakdown here on the performance. It's got everything, right? Price charts, price predictions, everything, guys. So again, if you're short on time, this is the perfect tool. And might I say, they have a really, really cool feature here, which is an AI bot. You can literally ask it anything and it'll spit it out. So Togametrics has been going on for a long time now, and they've perfected their bots over a long, long period, right? And so over time, it's sampled so many different projects, sentiments, narratives, and it's just like combining it all with like basically ChatGPT, right? So you can pretty much ask it whatever you want. So as you can see, give me 10 altcoins under 1 billion market cap that will perform well in 2025. It's simple, right? You can ask it whatever you want, and obviously as long as it's got it within reason, it will spit you out an accurate answer. So if we give it 2 seconds here, it'll provide you, what we asked for is only 10 altcoins under a 1 billion market cap that are expected to perform well in 2025, right? So some of these projects we may know, some we may not. The main thing here is it'll give you a new perspective on projects, okay? So as we can see here, it's given us under a 1 billion market cap. So what I would probably recommend if you're looking between two categories is say 1 billion to 500 million, and then it'll analyze it from there. But again, fantastic, right? We know Darwinian Network is an interesting project. Actually, one of my students did mention this to me. So obviously you can start to connect the dots here, gives you the market cap rankings, so on and so forth, okay? So it obviously leverages as well all of its Togametrics overall rating and ranking system as well. So guys, use it, leverage it. It'll save you a hell of a lot of times, and make sure if you did want to go ahead and start, use the basic plan by pressing the link down below. Now, the next tool I really recommend you guys follow here is a website called CoinMarketCal. Just like CoinMarketCap, it's CoinMarketCal. I don't believe it is affiliated though. And essentially, this is kind of like leveraging a hive mind for important events that come up on some of these projects, okay? So this is what I've been using now for quite a few years. And I must say, full disclosure, they won't have every single project's roadmap event coming up. But what it will do is help you leverage outside of your field of scope, right? You have your 10 altcoins you check all the time. Well, this will help you identify important events that come up for, let's just say Litecoin, for example, with the the halving, okay? I don't know about that because I'm not invested in Litecoin, but if I'm someone who wants to do a quick scalp trade, right, I might want to buy in and sell at a period of time, or obviously swing trade, right? Buy in and sell in a couple of months, whatever it might be. And you have the flexibility here. You can sort by significance, right? So hot, significant, trending, not sponsored, confirmed by official representatives, and essentially people as a hive mind come in here, propose an event through roadmap events, and then obviously people can vote on that, whether it is real or not, as you can see over here. And you can also check the proof of things. So if you want to just have confirmation that something is real, hitting the proof, it'll come up what it is. This is obviously a screenshot from Twitter, so that's obviously pretty verifiable. And you can also press the source as well and go right to the link. So guys, leverage this if you want. Again, you've got the timeframes here, past events, top 100 coins, so on and so forth. But as I mentioned to you moments ago, it isn't 100% accurate. It doesn't have every single project and every single event. It does help you get a good idea of the market though. And so what I would also leverage in tandem with this is a website obviously called CoinMarketCap, but within it, it has an events calendar, okay? So you can go through here and have a look at things. What I actually like to use this for is more so AMAs. So AMAs, if you don't already know, Ask Me Anything events where you can pretty much ask the team of a project any sort of question. And why I recommend you do this, as well as use Twitter Spaces, is because you want to be asking these teams very important questions. Now, not just like, hey, what's your tokenomics percentages? Ask them questions, particularly concerns you have with the project, and see how they perform. See how they actually answer that question, because if they and they are, or they try to ask for a different question, that will give you some idea of kind of what's happening behind the scenes. I've probably spotted about 3 projects over the period of time since I've been doing YouTube where I've gone in here to AMAs and essentially asked them a question and they've had exactly that. The or they just kind of dodge the question altogether. So please leverage these tools. I'm telling you right now, it seems so silly to go in there with AMAs or Twitter Spaces, but it does make a big difference, right? Obviously, find the ones that are associated with you. You have exchange, releases, so on and so forth. So there's different categories here. I don't really typically use CoinMarketCap's calendar for anything apart from AMAs and Twitter Spaces. And last but definitely not least, a tool that I've been leveraging ever since I first stumbled across it, and I literally cannot make a deep dive video or research a project without consulting this tool at least first. And that is a tool called Crypto EQ. Again, I've never heard anyone really talk about this tool, but again, it's kind of like a full deep dive breakdown on projects without you having to siphon through the white paper and things like the team, tokenomics, roadmap, strength, and even weaknesses. They've got a team, I believe a small team of people that go through and manually do the research, right? They're a smart group of people. And so what I would say, guys, if you did want to go ahead and support this small team, from what I believe it at least is a small team, then go ahead and buy the premium version. But let me first show you the product so at least you know what you're getting yourself into first. So I don't have the premium version myself. I know, hypocritical, right? But essentially what I leverage here is the dashboard. Now the dashboard is a way that you can have a look at all their kind of breakdowns and ranking reviews on each of these projects. Now, we're not going to go through and have a look at things like, they've got price in 24-hour chains or asset in ticker or even price signals, for example, which is pretty cool. We're going to leverage something called the core rating, okay? This is, again, an aggregate of white paper breakdowns and all the other fundamental analysis as well. So we can, of course, scroll through all the endless lists we've got here. They've got a fair few projects, to be honest with you. And remember, these are full breakdowns I've done on these projects. But let's say, for example, we want to research Avalanche. Well, we can, right? So if we open up Avalanche here, it's got a synopsis of the project itself. It's got a core rating, so silver. Okay, so the second highest rating, basically. We come down here, it's got the AVAX strengths and also weaknesses. Now, it does typically have a breakdown on these. Obviously, you do have to purchase the premium version to access this. It is a bit difficult because some projects, it does for free allow you to access the breakdown or synopsis of the strengths and weaknesses. And some, like in Avalanche, it doesn't provide that, but it gives you the full breakdown. Now, I want to say the full breakdown is probably just as important because it lets you go through things like vulnerabilities itself. So you can see this sort of stuff anyway. You can obviously go through here and see the use case, right? So again, it breaks it down. Avalanche versus Polkadot versus Cosmos, breaks down how subnets work, and you can just go through it, right? Use cases, the technology. Again, this is a perfect way for you to learn crypto and not have to work through the white paper, and of course, go through things like the economics. So you're going to learn things in here. There's going to be words that pop up that you might not know that you can, of course, go ahead and research. The team, right? So you can have a look at these people, user experience, regulation, roadmap, so on and so forth. But I would highly, again, recommend if you guys wanted to leverage this tool to cut down hours and hours of research, to go and show them some support, and purchase the premium version. They're not a sponsor of this video at all. I just think this tool is pretty well invaluable for those of you who cannot afford to put in the time. Now, of course, if you leverage something like this with things like the coin market calendar, and also particularly with Tokiometrics and how they analyze the data as well, you can kind of cross-reference this between the two. And then, of course, go and support all that information with things like the investing rounds. You got yourself a pretty kick-ass, succinct setup. Okay, so guys, that is going to conclude this video. If you have enjoyed, please drop a like on it and share it to one other person, because ultimately, the more people that know about this, the better. It doesn't do you and I any other favors. And all links are, of course, down below, so you can go ahead and use them if you need to. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you. Take good care. Talk to you soon. Bye.